Thank you so much for having me, and it's an honor to be here. I was born in the year, whoa, my slides don't work. The clicker doesn't work. That's amazing in front of so many people. Okay guys, the clicker is not working. It is, but it's not on my screen. Okay, so properly, that's the reason. Okay, so let's go back. I was born in the year 1982, the exact same year when this television series came to the market. Whom of you still remembers Knight Rider? It's amazing, right? This was the series that ignited my passion for technology. And I always remember when David Hasselhoff was speaking to his watch to summon his car, and I thought, whoa man, if this is the future, I definitely want to be part of it. A little bit later, this device came to the market in 1989, the first Game Boy. So I played a lot of Mario Bros and Tetris. And this was the second device that further fueled my passion for everything related to digital and technology. Back in the day, still in 8-bit and 16-bit. Then we had the rise of the internet. I don't know if you still remember that nostalgic sound, like the koosh. Now we had to wait 5 minutes. Then came social media, Facebook in 2004, Twitter in 2006. Then we had the rise of mobile with the first iPhone in 2007, the first tablets in 2010, and everything that happened before got kind of connected 24/7 in our pockets. And right now, we believe that we're entering a new curve, a new paradigm shift with different technologies coming together in what we call the age of the virtual economy. The three defining technologies for us are the rise of 3D virtual environments. We're clearly shifting from a 2D-driven internet to a 3D-driven internet. The rise, the accelerated pace of AI, and I'm sure you've all witnessed how that went. And then the blockchain, which has enormous power to authenticate the source of specific products, to showcase transparency and so forth. And all these kind of technologies are coming together and enforcing each other. Let me just give you one example. There are now people that specialize in creating AI art. They're making it with different AI platforms. They put it on the blockchain to have some kind of certificate of authenticity. And then there are other people who are showcasing that in virtual galleries and virtual environments. So I think it's amazing if you see the opportunities that these technologies will bring. And I'm sure that you're all agreeing with me that the next 10 years will look totally different if you see the rise of these new technologies. But it's not just technology, it's also the new generations. There's Generation Z, which was born in 1995. And then you have the next generation that is starting to make its impact, Generation Alpha. And it's very interesting to see how they're kind of co-shaping this new age of the virtual economy. And we are seeing that we're shifting from what we long called the digital natives to the virtual natives. And the virtual natives are the kids that grew up not with a Game Boy like many of us, but with tablets before they were even able to speak. They could switch YouTube commercials, and they were using these devices from a very young age. So the first virtual natives. And that's why we wrote a book on the topic with the title, The Virtual Economy, and I hope that I can inspire a bit around this story. What we did when writing this book is we looked through 3 lenses to make sure that it's an objective story into what we think the future is. And we looked at the behavior of the kids, the behavior of the developers, and also where the money is going. The money from investors, but also the money from the big R&D departments in technology companies. And I think if you look through these 3 lenses, that you kind of see where the future is shaping. One of the big platforms that is getting a lot of attention from Gen Z and Gen Alpha is Roblox. Roblox is a virtual game, just like Fortnite, with a lot of mini-games and mini-worlds, where brands see a lot of potential to connect to these younger generations. And there are many. Roblox today has 65 million daily active users, which is enormous, right? And it's just the beginning. And you also see it's not just the numbers, it's also a different behavior. Studies have shown that 56% of Gen Z are styling their avatar in a way that they think it's more important than how they style themselves in real life. So this is a sign of the times. And it's not just their own avatar, they're also following virtual avatars. I don't know if you know this one, Nonuri. She has over 400,000 followers on Instagram and TikTok. And a lot of these young generations are following these influencers. 75% of Gen Z is following at least one virtual influencer. It's these kind of characters, but it's also accelerated by AI. I don't know if you have seen this example from a few weeks ago. Aitana, she looks very real, but she's not because she was made with AI. She was made by a young team, a young Spanish company that created this virtual avatar and is already making recurring revenue by creating brand engagements that want to get access to the audience of Aitana. They're making already more than 10K per month. So another sign of the times. And I believe that many of us will have some kind of avatar in the coming decade, whether it is for professional use cases or more personal use cases. But it's an economy that is shaping the virtual humans. Some brands have seen the early potential of this. Nike has bought Artifact, a company specialized in virtual sneakers, because they know that we will have to differentiate also in this world of the avatars. They are already making over $300 million in revenues with selling virtual sneakers for avatars. Can you imagine? Tommy Hilfiger is doing the same. They have this kind of parallel collection where you can buy the real clothes and then the same for your avatar. So you have the virtual double. So it's going fast in that avatar space, and then you have the virtual worlds around it. Here you see an example of something that we've built for the Dubai Chamber of Commerce, a virtual penthouse where, by the way, my colleague Jeremy is rocking the Tommy Hilfiger avatar outfit. You see him walking around. It's a very photorealistic space. This is not with a headset, it's just in the browser. And if he goes upstairs, you will see that there is a small balloon above his head, which is his video and audio, so he can also speak in this environment. And so the closer he comes to us, my colleague Samuel and myself sitting here on the top of the roof, we can have a conversation, we can share slides, we can discuss and so forth. And I think it's just the beginning. This is just one example of how I think it will unfold. It will go faster with newer internet connections, and also the headsets will get better. So the internet is coming alive. We are shifting from 2D to 3D. It's very clear that that is happening. And the headsets also become better. They become cheaper, they become lighter, and they're also becoming see-through. So the Meta Quest from Facebook, or Meta, is now allowing you to see the room around you. The same for the Apple Vision Pro. So now you're able to see the other people in the room, and they can see your eyes. So they know kind of how you're looking and how you're feeling. And I think that's necessary because, I don't know if you've seen this movie, sometimes when you use these headsets, after 15 minutes you have a headache, and you sometimes bump in things that you don't want to bump into.
طب انزل انزل يا ابني روح تحت انزل روح تحت انجز انجز.
So it will get better. The headaches will go away, and this is a great example. Meta has a partnership with Ray-Ban, where you now have these cameras inside of the frame, also an AI system built in, so you can look at the Eiffel Tower. It will tell you what you see, and it will give you information, the context, when it was built, by whom, etc., etc. So we're heading to better headsets, and it will happen in the next decade. So to summarize how we see the virtual economy unfolding, we will have virtual identities run by these avatars in some kind of shape. We will have virtual items like the virtual Nikes, virtual artworks, virtual houses, and so forth that people will also trade. There will be virtual money in very different dimensions. I think the best thing to see right now is Robux and V-Bucks within Roblox and Fortnite, and I see it with my youngest son who is 8 years old. He has a better understanding of what he can buy with Robux than he has an understanding of the actual euro. So it's changing in their minds. Virtual organizations, let's be real, the current setup for home working with Teams, Zooms, etc. is not perfect. The headsets will get better, and they will give us a spatial feeling of the environment, which will really allow you to work in a hybrid way. And then there are the virtual 3D worlds, which are sometimes called the metaverse. I don't like the word, it's contaminated, nobody knows what it means, people started to hate it, but don't be mistaken, I think these 5 layers are gradually being built. AI is catching all the limelight, but the other things are still very much happening, and it's not just Meta, there are 1,000 companies, millions of companies that are building this. But the sixth layer is AI, and this is also what Bill Gates wrote in his letter earlier this year. The age of AI has begun, and I'm sure you've seen many examples, because right now, everywhere you go, every newspaper you open, every magazine you open, you put on the radio, it's about AI. It's AI, 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 or AI. There are two ways to look at this. So we're on some kind of roller coaster, and this is interesting because you see mixed emotions. Like the people in the back of this picture, they don't really see what is happening. Then there is the guy in the middle who is super excited about everything that is happening. People in the front who are a bit scared, and then the girl in the middle who just doesn't care at all. And I think that's the mixed emotion that we have around AI right now. But it is spectacular. If you look at Midjourney, one of the leading generative AI platforms, look in 18 months how it went with a prompt from something that is not really good to something that is very spectacular in terms of image. So it's increasing in a matter of a few months very well. The current IQ of platforms like ChatGPT is considered to be at 150, which is already far above the average. Einstein had 160, and they project that it will go tenfold in the coming years. So GPT-3 had an IQ of 88, GPT-4 155, and it's going super fast. Imagine if GPT-5 hits. Google just announced Gemini yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it. So it's going in an insane direction. I also saw this, where AI is now getting a voice. You can even speak to ChatGPT through the app, and it speaks back, which is extremely weird. You can test it out on your Bluetooth in the car when you drive back home. You can actually have a conversation with the AI bot. But this is in soccer.
Like a magician on the field, dodging 1, 2, 3, unstoppable. Look at him go. The crowd is roaring. Can you believe this? He's taken on the whole defense. He's a one-man show, ladies and gentlemen. He shoots. Goal! Messi, Messi, Messi!
It's not perfect yet, right? But it's coming. And then some people say, yeah, but Dado, you will need the real human being for the emotion. I'm not sure. If it's speaking out my name, if it knows which players that I like to follow, if it knows the history of the other games that I've seen, it might at a certain point become a good alternative. So interesting. Also in development, I don't know if you have seen this. So whenever you need to develop software or a website, you create mock-ups. And here you see somebody in a platform just like Figma, drawing a calculator, and then you will see that just with the push of one button, make it real, which is at the right-hand side, the calculator comes out and it's fully operational. So can you imagine how we will accelerate the curve of software engineering, which is, in all honesty, becoming a commodity job. It was the highest job in demand, very well paid, but now I think it's becoming more and more of a commodity. And there will be an impact on jobs. Let's be real. I've always been a technology optimist, but we need to be serious and we need to be not naive. When I was spending time in my youth, apart from school, I did a lot of Game Boy. I watched a lot of Knight Rider, and I also tried to solve the Rubik's Cube. I never managed to do so, but there are world record holders that do this in just a few seconds. And in June this year, the record was broken to 3.8 seconds. So they give the guy the block, you can watch it on YouTube, and it's like, and it's done. It's extremely mesmerizing. And then I saw this video.
Solving in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, yeah.
Did it.
So there will be an impact, but there is a quote that you might have seen: humans will not be replaced by AI, humans will be replaced by other humans using AI, and that's my absolute conviction. Whether you're in finance, whether you're in marketing, whether you're in HR, in innovation, in any kind of job, horizontally it will have an impact on everything, and we need to train ourselves. What is also interesting is that I see that psychologically people are very polite to these machines, and I see it also in my own behavior. I don't know if you feel the same, but if I use ChatGPT, I always write, "Can you?" And if it gives the answer, which comes like, whoa, in a split second, I'm sometimes tempted to say, "Thank you." So you feel psychologically that you're on the verge of like, is this thing having emotions or not? And so I think that over time, We will speak much more to these bots than we can imagine today, and also in different situations. So now it's professional, but I'm sure some people will find companionship, like older people who are alone, who are in solitude, might find a way to have companionship. And you will tell me, yeah, but that's not real. I'm not sure. If it knows the history of those people, the family members, and it can give context, it might be a solution to a problem. Now also education will have to change. We've all been in classrooms like this, and then it moved to this. Do you remember? The overhead projector with the transparent sheets, and then the markers was like magic on a screen. Then we had the beamers, and right now my two kids, 8 and 11 years old, I see more and more that they're using tablets in their homework with small games, but the games are generic. I think the future of education, which again might be a breakthrough solution, are AI tutors next to the real tutor. The AI bots will know that my daughter is good at French, but not so good at mathematics, and there the bot needs to wait a bit. And it will always have compassion. My daughter will be able to ask the same question 1,000 times, and it will never get angry. This is also the root of OpenAI. They now have these custom GPTs that have knowledge in a niche domain and that excel in one specific vertical. So it's not the generic tool anymore. I don't know if you've seen this, but you can now upload pictures and ask it what it sees. So an electronic circuit, and you can ask what are the different dimensions, the different things that you see, and where's the problem. I've tried it with the homework of my son. I can guarantee you it's spectacular. So you just take a picture of the homework and you ask it, give me all the solutions. I haven't shown it to him, but it's extremely, extremely on point. This is also interesting because it's at one hand mind-blowing, but at the same time, it's sometimes underwhelming. I was speaking at an event for Dell a few weeks ago, and I had to upload a video to YouTube, and they have an AI that recognizes the subtitles based on your voice. I don't know if you see the transcript, but I had to speak out my name, Dado Van Peteghem, and it got translated, I don't know if you see it, to Dad from Bethlehem. I've seen a lot with my name, but this was something new. So we're entering the age of abundance, where people will have unlimited channels, unlimited content, unlimited choices. I think that everybody will look outside of the window all the time to find new stuff. There will be a huge space in the attention economy where people will be looking to alternatives. So we need to stay as close as possible to our customer in the age of abundance. And the question is, how do you create magic? How do you create marketing magic in a world where you have the human layer and the virtual layer? And I think the real opportunity here is to connect the dots, both on the human layer and on the virtual layer. The problem is, however, is that I see that many companies are kind of stuck in the middle. They're not over-indexing on one or the other side, and they're not connecting the dots of both. And I think that's where the magic really is. And let me give you an example why the metaverse now has such a bad connotation. I don't know if you saw this news. The European Union spent $400,000 on its own metaverse, and only 7 people came to its party. That's not how we want our tax money to be spent. There were more people probably in the jacuzzi of Mark than in the metaverse of the European Union. But it's not working because they don't have the right experience and audience. And that's, I think, the second part of my story is how do you create relevance in the age of abundance and how do you stay close? We think it's through 3 lenses. And this is what we call the magic triangle. It's building experiences that money can't buy. How do you stand out? It's creating, as Mark said, communities where people want to belong. And thirdly, it's creating loyalty where people want to come back. And if you don't have that, if you don't have an experience, people won't come. If you don't have a community, they won't stay. If you don't have loyalty, they won't come back. Do you know that most loyalty programs are abandoned, that people don't collect the points, that they don't care about the prices? We need to stay closer than ever to our customers because, again, the window outside is looking very nice and people have abundant options. And the good thing is they want to belong. As human beings, we always had this search for belonging. And now, more than ever, we were born into communities before. We had the people in our street, the people in our religion, the people in the sports club. And you know, just like my grandmother always says, Dado, you don't know the people in your street anymore. And I'm sure many of your grandmothers, grandfathers say the same thing. And so now we have to find communities. In an age of ultra connection, we have to find communities to belong. The grandmother of communities started 40 years ago. The Harley-Davidson Ownership Group in 1983, and they have 1 million members. And they have 1 million members over 100 countries with very different profiles. So you might think this is the typical guy on the motorcycle. No, there are a lot of women, a lot of young people. It's a very diverse mix. And the interesting thing is that exactly as was said before, that it's not just the audience, because they have a love brand, they have an audience, but it's about the active contribution of the community. They now also have an app and a platform to connect and to share rides, just like we know Strava. And the interesting thing is that 30% higher spend is being noted through the HOC members compared to the general audience of the Harley-Davidson riders. So it has an impact. The community delivers more. They even have a Belgian chapter, which made me think about Maaskantje, but it's Maasland. So they even penetrated in a very small market like ours with the Maasland HOC chapter. But there are also new style communities. I don't know if you ever heard about the Chubbies. The Chubbies is an amazing brand and an amazing story. It was founded by 4 friends who put the initial capital together, and they wanted to create shorts for men with a bigger shape in terms of belly. So what they did is, it's really a spectacular story. So they started in 2011. They said, we're going to disturb the status quo. We only will go for advertisements with real bodies. We will make sure that everything is fun. We don't want anything that is close to boring. We want to have community content that is being shared, and that will be our big bet. And that's how 10 years later, they got acquired for $100 million by Solo Brands. So a company in 10 years, fully betting on e-commerce, fully betting on community, creating something that is different than all the rest, and they managed to cut through the noise. So I believe the future of marketing is disturbing the status quo. We need to do really something different to stand out in this abundance. So how do you stand out? Community is one thing, and then there is experience. How can we make sure that we unbore life? There is so much boringness, right? So how do you create experiences that money can't buy? How do you do something different? I think there are 3 things. You need to be memorable, you need to be valuable, and it needs to be shareable. That's, for me, the definition of an experience that money can buy. And let me give you an example. I don't know if you ever heard about Lost Crumb. Lost Crumb is a cookie brand in the US that was launched during the pandemic in 2020. And I don't know if you know, but there's so many cookie brands all over the world, especially in the US. So I think if they went to their investors, that most of them said, whoa, this is such a saturated market. But they said, we're going to do it different. The cookies, yes, they are artisanally made, but we're only going to make 12 per drop. They call it drops. And we're going to design them and to package them in such a way that people will talk about it. So every cookie that they make, only 12, are individually packaged in an extremely sexy way. And they're also being shipped in a box with the 12 cookies, with the individual packages. And they said, we want to make sure that this box looks so good that people want to show it to others. They call it the Rolex of cookies. That's the level what they wanted to achieve. And they all have these different and unique names. So the Netflix and Crunch, the Campfire, What the Velvet, Better Than Sex. So it's a storyline, it's something that is completely different. And then there are people, and this is amazing, that do unboxing videos of the cookies. Like there is unboxing in electronics, in fashion, but in cookies, wow. So people open the box, taste it, and then share that on YouTube. And that's obviously how they get their viral marketing. And you see this girl thinking like, whoa, is this better than sex or not? I leave that in the middle, but it's leading to what I call a shift from marketing to the people to marketing through the people. And we've seen this already in the past, but now it's accelerating to another pace. And also, like Mark said, Lost Crumb, it's putting their money where their mouth is. They say, we're not talking about customers, we're talking about members only. So you need to go on a wait list, then you need to be selected, and once you get your first box, you can apply for the next drop of cookies. And that's how they create an experience money can buy. So they have members, they don't only have customers. Now in the virtual economy, communities and experiences are taking to another level. If you look back into the first physical communities, we were bound to time and to location. And then digital solved that by adding the fact of scale. And I think in the next dimension, we will take the step to ownership communities, where for the first time ever, in the third dimension, loyalty, people will be able to have a piece of the brand. And that piece of the brand is perfectly illustrated by what Nike is doing right now. Nike has created a platform called .swoosh, where people are asked to become part of the community, to contribute to the designs of the future. The tagline is, the first 50 years were amazing, the next 50 years we're going to build together. And to be part of that, you need to buy a virtual collectible. This is mine. It costs $19, and you get some kind of virtual sneaker that is your access token to the community. I can decide to sell it. If I contribute, it goes up in value, and that's how they create kind of a vibrant ecosystem and marketplace around the community of the future. So it's digital, but with a next level. And then you will say, yeah, but just like Mark said, that's such a big brand, right? They have so much money, they can do it on a global scale. And I think every brand, if you're sexy or not, but also small or large, you can build a community. Probably it's even easier if you're smaller because you're closer to your members, to your customers. And this is what Alexis Ohanian, the founder of Reddit, illustrated when he was talking about the minimum viable community. He said, now people look at Reddit and they say, wow, this is such a vibrant community, but we started extremely small. And we put a lot of effort into the first fans of the concept, the minimum viable community. And now to translate that to something concrete, I think the method to use here, if you want to think how to apply that for your own brand, is what Kevin Kelly wrote in 2008. He said, if you're an individual creator or a business and you want to go from 0 to 1 or from 1 to 1,000, you need to bet on your 1,000 true fans. We have been talking about customer centricity for so long, but it's also about community centricity, and that initial community is small. It's not the large numbers. It's not the 6 million people in Sephora or the 1 million in Harley Davidson. It's the first 1,000 true fans. And that true fan circle is the first circle around what you do. So you have your Marcom team, you have the management, then you have your customers, the potential prospects, and it's that glue in the middle. The true fans, some of them are customers, some of them are prospects. Think about Porsche. There are so many true fans that want to have a Porsche one day, but maybe they will never buy one or they will never be able to buy one. But there are many true fans, and I think many of us have that ability to activate those 1,000 true fans. This is a very recent example, just from this week, Home Cooks, that started as a Facebook group in the pandemic and then went to a seed investment just this week, started from a few members, chefs that were telling people what recipes they could use, and then they're turning it into a platform. So community-led growth is building a movement. It's not just building a brand, it's something that people want to be part of. Remember the membership. I don't know if you ever saw this movie, this guy at the festival in 2009, that ignited kind of a fire hose of people that started to dance with him. Who has seen this video? Not all of you. I'm going to quickly show it. So he starts to dance for 15 minutes. Then somebody joins, the first fan. Then there are some others, and then it goes really wild. Just have a look. And it goes on and on. So the two learnings for me here is you have to dance like nobody else does to stand out, and you need to be persistent. And then the second thing is you need to dance with your earliest fans. And then the moment people start to see that other people care, then other people start to join, you get more circles, and then it starts to take off. So whether you're a brand that wants to fuel further growth, whether you're a cause, a social cause that is looking to mobilize people, or you're a solopreneur who is trying to take off a business from 0 to 1, I think the thing to do is asking you the million-dollar question, how are you going to create magic in the age of abundance? Technology is accelerating at an unseen pace, and you need to upskill yourself, but at the same time, what do you want to be famous for? And I think and I hope that the magic triangle of experience, community, and loyalty is a big part of that answer. If you then look into the future of technology, I think you all agree with me, change has never been this fast, and it will never be this slow again. So now is the time to double down and to make sure that we're remembered for something memorable. My friends, thank you very much. I wish you an amazing rest of the conference.